From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. A first-hand account that these folks wish was not so up close and personal of a tornado smashing into a candle factory in Mayfield, Kentucky last night, leaving them in pitch darkness under loads of rubble, but able to record it on a cell phone.
We were all in the safe shelter place. The whole building fell.
That's Kiana Lou on her cell phone as she and others waited for help.
The wall is stuck on me. Nobody can get to us. Y'all, please. We can't move. Andrea, calm down.
Lou got out alive along with about 40 other factory workers. Dozens are feared dead after at least 22 tornadoes in 6 states last night. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker about a tornado hitting an Amazon warehouse, tearing off its roof, partially collapsing the building, killing 6 people.
I spoke with President Biden and with FEMA Director Criswell to make sure that federal officials are coordinating with our Illinois Emergency Management Agency. The president offered to assist with whatever we may need to recover.
Officials say that tornado also crushed a nursing home and derailed a train. President Biden promising disaster declarations.
President Biden offering financial aid, condolences, and prayer for families still in shock.
They're scared to death right now in terms of all those folks who they can't figure where they are. Where's my son? Where's my daughter, my husband, my wife, my mom, my dad? It's devastating.
The president releasing money to help Kentucky right away and will likely ask Congress for billions more. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
After an investigator with the California Highway Patrol's Organized Retail Theft Task Force said they saw a woman stealing from a Nordstrom rack in Costa Mesa, they searched her apartment, finding more than $300,000 in stolen merchandise. That from the Orange County DA's office. The woman is charged with grand theft. You're listening to ABC News.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. Not only is it time for open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For the typical family, switching to MediShare saves about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. And what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate when compared to health insurance. Double. It really is remarkable. There's more than 400,000 members now who have shared more than $4 billion in medical bills, so they can handle your bills too. And here's the thing. If you join before December 15th, they'll waive your new member fee. So that's another $170 you'll save. I'll give you the number here in a second, but call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline, December 15th. So call now and you'll save even more. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
Under fire, the British Prime Minister, ABC's Julia McFarlane in London.
Photographs have emerged purporting to show Boris Johnson hosting a Christmas quiz last December when gatherings were banned under the second wave lockdown. Johnson is facing growing pressure after news of his team's Christmas parties first emerged a week ago, but he denied having any knowledge of them taking place.
10-minute ride of a lifetime, ABC's Dave Packer.
NFL star and Good Morning America co-host Michael Strahan describing the sensation of traveling over 2,000 miles per hour when he launched today on a Blue Origin rocket on a suborbital flight.
The G's, it's a face, not a facelift, it's a face drop. All right, you're okay. Really? I know what I'm going to look like at 85.
Also on board, Laura Shepard Churchley. 60 years after her father, Alan Shepard, wrote into history as the first American to take a suborbital flight into space. She brought with her a tiny piece of Shepard's Freedom 7 capsule.
Rocketing up 62 miles and parachuting back. Celebrating the bipartisan infrastructure bill that invests more than $4 billion into improving California's Bay Area rail, highways, public transit systems, transit leaders, and California lawmakers, including Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
This being done in a new, fresh way, not like a road going through a neighborhood and dividing the community of interest, but instead breaking down all of those barriers to community.
This is ABC News.
500,000 businesses connect using Zoom, a single platform for video, phone, chat, and conference rooms. Zoom enables real-time collaboration no matter where your teams are. Global enterprises trust the easy-to-use, reliable, and secure Zoom platform to power high-performance teams. Empower your workforce with Zoom. Save 15% on meetings, chat, and phone with a Zoom United bundle. Visit zoom.com/bundle. Zoom, how the world connects.
Chuck Severson, ABC News.
Aggie basketball is 1 hour and counting. It's time for KVNU Game Day with more analysis and previews. Sponsored by Alpine Home Medical, Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, Les Olson Company, Jarek's Fine Jewelry, My Mattress, Elements Restaurant, Cache Valley Bank, Castelite, Daryl's Appliance, Advanced Fireplace and Stove, Cache Valley Ear, Nose and Throat, White Pine Funeral Home, S.E. Needham Jewelers, and LSS Insurance. Now, with a countdown to tip-off, here's the legendary voice of the Aggies, Al Lewis and Jalen Moore.
And we also appreciate West Point Dairy and Kim Drive Northern Utah and our other great sponsors who bring you our Saturday night. That's right, it is our Utah State basketball team back in action at home tonight for this game coming up here at 7 o'clock. It won't be on TV. If you're not going to the game tonight, you got to watch it on the Mountain West Network on the internet. And our Aggies are in their first losing streak of the season, back-to-back defeats. In fact, it's the first time in 7 years they have lost the first 2 games they have played in December. The St. Mary's game, of course, so hard to swallow up until now. And then BYU Wednesday night in Provo. The Aggies were behind mostly from start to finish, but they made it a little bit of a battle in the last 7 minutes or so.
Our guys kept fighting, and that's what Aggies do. And, we got it to a point where it was 7. Our whole goal was let's get it inside of 10, and let's try to begin to put a little bit of game pressure, on them. And I think our guys did that. We had it right to where we wanted it. And then, unfortunately, we just didn't finish it, with baskets. We had a couple of turnovers mixed in with the obvious missed free throws.
As much as the Aggies did struggle to stop the Cougars from scoring in most of the game, they had about 5 minutes there from the 8-minute mark to go to about 3 minutes to go where the Cougars didn't score. And the lead had gone from 20-7. What hurts the most, 5 straight missed free throws, besides a couple turnovers and missed shots themselves. And then down the stretch, there were no other chances for our Aggies. In the end, it was an 82-71 defeat, and unfortunately, 10 in a row to UNLV. That's hard to take, obviously. So later, Jalen Moore and I will talk about free throws again for this Aggie team. They also kind of seem to need to find themselves maybe offensively and defensively and rebounding-wise a little bit right now, and we'll talk about that as they get ready for the the University of New Orleans Privateers, who are coming into the Spectrum tonight. And the Aggies, of course, are only 2-2 at home so far, Coach.
Yeah, excited to be back in the Spectrum, of course, back home, playing a solid New Orleans team.
So we get ready for our Aggie Game Day tonight, where we talk about it and set up the game beforehand in the tip-off and with facts and interviews and conversations, and then immediately when the game is over, post-game analysis, coaches and a player usually, and then your texts and phone calls. So Al Lewis here with Jalen Moore tonight for the New Orleans game. Jalen, somebody, though, pointed out the other night on our post-game show that great Aggies that have played for us the last few years, like Sam Merrill, Neemias Queta, Justin Bean, and you yourself included, have never beaten BYU. And that's kind of hard to fathom, but it is harder for, I think, everybody to take in. We know the Aggie fans don't like it, but I would imagine that digs at you and you guys a little bit, wouldn't you have to say? Oh, I've lost Jalen. Let's see. Is that Jalen? Can't check it back. Jalen, does I just mentioned a few minutes ago that somebody on the post game the other night. Oh, and we lost Jalen again. So we're hoping to get back with Jalen in just a moment on this. In fact, maybe we should take our first break, and then we'll have a long segment with Jalen. We'll be back on our Saturday nights as Jalen, again, can be with us easily on the phone tonight, but we'll get back with him in just a moment. It's Game Day on KVNU.
Experts tell us that the 3 areas of balance for proper health are exercise, nutrition, and sleep. This is Ryan, owner of My Mattress, and while My Mattress store can't really help with exercise and nutrition, we can help with better sleep. If a person started today to live a balanced life in health, exercise, and sleep, 3 things might happen. 1, we might throw away the bag of peanut M&Ms that we have stashed. 2, we might get up off the couch and exercise. And 3, we'd come buy a new mattress here at My Mattress.
All right, we do have Jalen Moore back connected. And Jalen, I was just saying the other night when somebody pointed out after the game against BYU that all these great Aggie players who played for us lately, like Sam Merrill, Neemias Queta, Justin Bean, and yourself included, have never beaten BYU. So we mentioned the Aggie fans are having a hard time with that, but I would imagine you really good Aggie players are having a hard time with that too, that you never beat BYU.
Yeah, and it's tough, like we said, because it's just one of the biggest rivalries in the state. And it's just tough because you want to go out there and, like you said, guys like me and Sam who have loved Utah State your whole life growing up, and you want to come play at Utah State, and you know that the Utah State-BYU rivalry is big, and now you can even put Bean there. You know, he's played at Utah State for 4 years, and he understands what the rivalry is about. It's tough. You want to go in there, you want to perform, and you want to beat them, regardless of where the game is played at. You know, it's always a good atmosphere, except for like last year when they had the COVID stuff. But other than that, the fans are bought in. But yeah, it's hard. It's frustrating. But, you know, eventually they're going to get over the hump. They're going to get over that peak, and they're going to beat them again eventually. But so far, the last 10 times we played them, it just hasn't gone our way. And for the most part, there was a few blowouts here and there. For the most part, most of them are good games, though, you know, and it comes down to the wire. And it was kind of similar. We had our chances this last time that we just barely played against them as well. You know, we got down by 20, but we didn't give up. We didn't do anything, you know, like that. We didn't end up losing by 20 or 25. We ended up losing a close game, and we gave ourselves chances towards the end of the game. We just couldn't capitalize on those chances in this one.
The Aggies made their first couple of shots, so you look like they were off to a good start, and then Trevin Nell finally hit a few of those threes that seemed to kind of get game to go in the wrong direction. Cougars, going into that game, Jalen, were 29% from three. We know they're probably better than that, but you don't want to get them off to that hot start. Eventually, they shot 46% from three against us, and they were confident as it gone on. But the Utah State defense seemed to struggle a little bit with some of their pickups and changes and penetration stops and everything. Here's what the coach said after the game.
The biggest thing about defense is keeping a chest in front of somebody. And I think in the second half, we did that much better. And so I was pleased with that. It's something that we can build upon.
But overall, Jalen, I mean, you look at the stat numbers that the Aggies are allowing on the season. 69 points is good. 41% is good. 34% from three is not bad. But since the second half of the St. Mary's game and now into the BYU game, we do not see this Utah State team defensively like maybe we thought they would be through the first 7 games before that. What do you see?
Yeah, I agree. You know, it has slacked. You know, like we said, that the first half of that St. Mary's game was a back-and-forth battle, you know, really low scoring for a college basketball game. You know, you look at our stats, like you said, not terrible. Making teams shoot 34% is not that bad, especially the way that teams shoot the three ball nowadays in basketball. So we're doing good for the most part, but the last 2 games have been slacking a little bit, and we kind of touched on that kind of stuff. It's just not letting people beat you middle, not getting beat on drives. You know, if you are the initial defender and you get beat middle, a lot of the defense has to collapse in, and then guys can kick it out for open shots. And, you know, like I said, the way people shoot threes and stuff now, if they have open looks, it's pretty much they make it. The other thing, too, is we've been fouling quite a bit. We put people on the free throw line, and they're making free throws. We didn't last game. And the other thing, too, is I think the last 2 games we got out-rebounded, which really doesn't happen, which means if they get offensive rebounds, they're getting some more possessions where they have potential to get more points. When we out-rebound teams, we eliminate them having extra possessions, and it gives us more possessions, you know. So those are some things I think we're slacking on a little bit lately, as our rebounding just needs to get a little bit more on point how it was. And, you know, I think we just got to keep the guy in front of us. The initial defender, we got to contest all threes, but as the initial defender, we got to keep the ball in front of us and not have to rely on our help defense.
I wrote down the rebounding thing as well as I want to talk about. I mean, Bean's rebounding, obviously one of the best in the country, but we need some other guys to help out. I mean, St. Mary's had some size, but BYU didn't have size against the Aggies the other night, and they still out-rebounded us. But let's talk about defense here for a minute, because you know, we think of offense, and we've thought about this Aggie team passing the ball like they have, and they played as a team. Defense is really, I mean, we think about, oh, boy, that guy about beat off the dribble. But defense is about a team together, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and like we said, it's hard. Defense is hard. You know, guarding the ball in basketball, it's hard. And so it's not like they're going to go through games and no one's going to get beat off the dribble. It happens all the time. The thing that happens is the secondary defense has to be in the correct position. And a lot of times what happens is if a guy gets beat off the dribble, which it happens a lot, a guy will step over and help him. And sometimes you don't necessarily always help the helper, which is like that third defense that has to happen, you know. So that's the hardest thing. When teams are really good defensively, they're locked in. And they help the helper. And like we said, they finish the play with a rebound. They get deflections so that every pass can't just go through. And we haven't been getting a lot of those. We haven't been getting a lot of steals in the last few games either, which kind of disrupts a lot of teams' offensive stuff that they have going on as well. But, yeah, for the most part, you know, I think our team just needs to be in positions early. It's not like they're not in positions, but sometimes if your rotations are late, things can happen. The way that people make reads and stuff, and like I said, shoot the ball now, is if you're even a second late, people are getting off threes or potentially getting in layups or where you foul them and they're getting and ones where they can also get more points and stuff like that.
Coach Odom's a really positive guy, you can tell, and that's a great way to have on the team. And here's when I said, hey, are you a little worried about your defense the last game and a half? Here's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the other day, our offensive execution hurt our defense at times. We had 9 turnovers in the first half. And so when you're giving pick sixes up, which we did several times, and that's going to hurt your numbers. Your layups, obviously, and wide open threes, which were happening in transition early on against BYU. Not ideal. The St. Mary's game, they had one little stretch, where they got out in front of us in the second half. But I thought overall our defense was pretty good. I mean, you hold a team to 16 points, in a half. You don't have a lot to complain about. So I do feel good about our defense. I think we can be an even better defensive team, and we're working with the guys on just, it's fundamentals. A lot of it's just fundamentals, making sure that we're jumping to the ball.
That's what the coach said, jumping to the ball. You've talked about those things. The fundamentals are keeping that chest in front things. I mean, we had Marco Anthony, who was a terrific defender the last couple of years. We had Nemish Keita back there. So, again, there are some things to have to overcome. And he also mentions offense maybe led to it. And I kind of feel like in some of the ways we had this spacing and ball movement and things. And I know St. Mary's it had the reputation of taking away assists from teams, but we're just not seemingly, Jalen, having the same assist numbers and passing like we had earlier in the season with our offense either.
Yeah, it's just, that's the thing. The college season's so long. Sometimes you get in little funks there. Like we always say, you're not going to win every game. Some teams will win a lot of games, but most teams don't win every game. You get in little funks here and there, and now it's up to the coaching and the players of what they're going to do to change it, and our offense has slacked a little bit too. A lot of the time, too, we were getting a lot of assists because we were shooting such a high percentage, like we were kicking it out and we were making a lot of shots and, boom, put an assist on the board. And sometimes now we're getting those same shots and maybe we're not getting the same, maybe not the same look, maybe not as open, maybe not making the shot like we were earlier. So there's definitely a few things that we can work on. Like you said, too, the touch on, we got to get better at the free throws, got to get that percentage going up. And sometimes we have to also just make and create easier baskets for ourselves as well.
Well, 2 losses in a row is not devastating. 6-3 start with a win over Oklahoma, and we're going to talk about that. And Jalen, you talk about winning college basketball games is not easy. The undefeateds are dwindling down. We'll talk about that in the next segment as well. And tonight it obviously should be, to be honest, a victory in the Spectrum. And that's another area we'll talk about as we get in with Jalen Moore, because we have some really tough games coming up here next. And, of course, we've got more to talk about on this Aggie team. Hey, we also tonight have an interview with, again, Bryce Crawford, one of the Utah State assistant coaches. Find out more about him in an up-close and personal.
What I always say, one is that he sees the best in everybody. And I think that's there's nothing to do with him as a coach and all to do with him as a man. And I think the second thing is that he's comfortable in his own skin. And because of that, he can take responsibility for things when they don't go well.
He's talking about, of course, Coach Odom, and we'll get his comments on that. Jalen and I will be back right in a moment or two. Game day continues on KVNU.
For 125 years, SC Needham Jewelers is where Utah gets engaged. People from St. George to Rexburg drive to Logan to shop Utah's oldest jewelry store. One major reason is price. When diamonds are compared up and down the Wasatch Front, SC Needham Jewelers is as low or lower than any store in the state. We compete with any 50 to 70% off sales, internet prices, or so-called wholesale prices. Recently voted as #1 jeweler in the best of northern Utah. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, SC Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Happy holidays, Cache Valley, from the entire team at Ascent Aesthetics. Ascent Aesthetics is giving back to our local food pantry and giving you a chance to win services for free. Drop off any non-perishable food item at the Providence office and you could win 6 rounds of underarm laser hair removal, a hydrofacial, or a dermaplane facial. Winners will be picked December 30th. Give the perfect gift this year, a treatment from Ascent Aesthetics. Learn more at AscentAesthetics.com. That's AscentAesthetics.com.
Cold weather is here. Let the gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah's fireplace category help you update your home with Napoleon's full line of gas or wood-burning products. Building a new home? Let the professionals at Advanced Fireplace and Stove design and install your fireplace. From traditional to modern, Napoleon has something for every design and every budget. Install a product that will allow your family to make memories for years to come. Stop by at their showroom or visit them at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
The clock is ticking, and Aggie basketball is getting closer. It's KVNU Game Day.
Inside Williams with 7. One-on-one with Amori. Gets inside, puts it up and in with 3.4 to go. Get it to Harper with 3, with 2, with 1. Harper for the win. Got it! Let's go! Let's go! Harper Jr. Let's go! The game winner at the buzzer. Let's go! And Rutgers upsets number 1 Purdue.
That was earlier this week when Rutgers hit that last-second shot in that wild finish to beat Purdue. Jalen, so far this year, we had Gonzaga at the top. They lost a close game to Duke, and immediately after Duke went to number 1, they lost. Immediately when Purdue went to number 1, they lost. That is the nature of college basketball these days. It's hard to win every single game, and it hasn't happened since Indiana did it a long, long time ago to win the championship in college basketball.
Yeah, it's tough. You know, like I said, it's hard, especially the way that basketball is developing and changing as a game. And there's so many middle class teams that used to not even be able to compete at all with these upper class teams. And now you see it, and there's so many good players. Like you said, that Rutgers went and played Purdue, and Rutgers' best player had 30 points. You know, it's just there's so many good players even at mid majors that make it so that teams can compete at all levels. And you know, it's just crazy. Like Weber State was undefeated. They lose to Washington State, and now Washington State lost today on a buzzer beater to South Dakota State. Like, there's just so many different things that happen. Arkansas got beat by 22 to Oklahoma, who we beat. You know, so there's just it's wide open. You know, if we can string some things together and have a good conference play and win most of these games, even if we go to Iowa and give them a game, we got to go beat Weber State. If we win tonight, we can get on a little bit of a win streak going into conference and stuff like that. It's wide open, and we're still putting in a bid for ourselves to make it to that NCAA tournament.
You know how many teams are undefeated now in college basketball?
How many?
6.
Yeah.
San Francisco, who's really good, and they beat Fresno State this week. LSU, who did win tonight against Georgia Tech. USC is undefeated. Baylor is still undefeated. Iowa State, who beat Iowa this week, who we play next Saturday, is undefeated. And Colorado State, with the win over Mississippi State today, they are 10-0. They'll be in the top 25 this next week. Colorado State will be.
Yeah, and like we said, we figured they were going to be pretty good. You know, as time went on, they were good when they had a lot of those guys that were freshmen, and they just have gotten so much experience and gotten so much better over the years. So for them to be 10-0, like we said, I can't wait for those games when we play them in the Spectrum and go to Fort Collins and play them this year. I think those games are going to be insane. They're going to be a lot of fun. But, yeah, there's only 6 teams unbeaten. Some back in the years, you know, so there's a lot of teams that used to be 8-0 and stuff. But like I said, those mid-major teams, they can beat good teams now because of the players that they recruit and the way that players at all levels can score and compete at nowadays. So it makes college basketball a lot of fun. You know, there's not one team that you're like, hey, this is the best team that's just going to run the table this year. When the tournament gets put together, I think there's going to be a lot of upsets, and there's going to be a lot of upsets going through the season the rest of the way as well.
Our friend Eric Musselman got thrown out of the game in the Oklahoma-Arkansas game today. And, again, that is a feather in the Aggies' cap to have beaten Oklahoma at this point of the season. Again, Arizona beat Illinois in a big matchup today where they had to take Uber from St. Louis to even Champaign-Urbana to be able to play. Notre Dame beat Kentucky today, a little bit of a surprise in that one. But Creighton beat BYU today, and Colorado State has beaten Creighton this year. So that is a real feather in their cap because BYU dropped that one today by 12, and it really was a 20-point game, kind of like the Aggie BYU game in a lot of ways. So that's our reflection on college basketball. Now let's talk about the Aggie basketball team with this from the coach.
Sean is just coming back, and today was obviously his best game, and you could kind of see the potential there, you know, that he has, right? He's a big body. He's an attacking wing. He can get to the basket. He's very athletic. And I think he can make decisions and pick and roll as well. And so we've got to put him in those situations. So I was really proud of the way he played today.
So the coach talked about Sean Bairstow the other game against BYU with 11. Jalen, how do you see him now fitting into this? Because let's figure here, when conference play comes around, you want a rotation of about 8 or 9 at the most. Where does Sean Bairstow now fit in, and then who doesn't get to play?
Yeah, he's going to play more. And we kind of knew once he got back from his injury, he was going to be a big part. I actually like him and Ashworth coming off the bench because you have that production that you can rely on game to game with those two coming off the bench, as well as like having the steady starters that we've had. So I like that. You probably just won't see guys like Shulga and Hamoda. I think their playing time will probably go down a little bit. Not saying they won't play at all. I just think Bairstow's going to take some more minutes from those guys just because, when we need help scoring and, you're going to get what you get from Bean, and if we potentially don't get that scoring from Ryland or Brock or even Horvath sometimes, Bairstow's a guy that can score at all 3 levels, and he's a guy that can do that production from the bench, which we've needed this season so far. So the way that he looks against BYU I thought was good, and he might not even be all the way 100% yet. So I think as the season keeps going on and he gets in better shape and all that kind of stuff, you're going to see his minutes start to go up as well.
Yeah, he admitted, besides the broken wrist, a lacerated kidney in that whole deal that happened to him. He does, as I said to him, he adds what this team might need, length and attack to the basket.
Yeah, definitely. Just really space the floor, opportunity
exactly.
cuts and just attack the basket when there's a lane.
Go ahead, Jalen. Keep talking about Sean.
Oh, sorry. So I was just going to say, yeah, you can't leave him open from 3 either. Like, he can hit a 3. His back to the basket was looking good. His mid-post game looked good against BYU too, which is a kind of a lost art nowadays. That's hard scoring, and the guy was playing tough D on him too, and he was making some hard shots. So I think we're going to be able to rely on him to do some stuff like that.
Okay. Let's talk about free throws, because the Aggies against UC Davis were 17 of 28, and we thought that cost them the game because that's not a good percentage. But 9 of 20 the other night, not good at all. Bairstow said,
just didn't knock him down. Need to get back in the gym and work on it.
Didn't knock him down. How hard, Jalen, is free throw shooting really in college basketball, and how much is it? Coach Odom said after the game the other night, when all of a sudden one guy miss, it's tough. But we only had Ryland Jones go to the foul line the whole game and made 2 of 2. Nobody made 2 out of 2 at the foul line. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just, obviously, like we say, shooting and doing everything on the road is going to be harder, especially in the second half when we were shooting into the student section where they had you got to give them credit. They had some creative stuff going on, which is going to mess you up a little bit. But really, in reality, free throws come down to, a lot of it is mental, and a lot of it is just repetitions and getting a lot of shots up, regardless if there's fans or if not. It's just a lot of it becomes muscle memory, and a lot of it is mental. And I think that's how a lot of guys, and even in the NBA, sometimes just aren't that good at free throws. A lot of it's mental, and they just think they can't shoot or I can't make free throws, and they miss. And so I think a lot of it kind of was affecting us mentally. We know 9 for 20, 45% is not going to win you games. Now, did it only come down to free throws? Not really, but that stretch of the game where we missed 5 out of 6, you even make 3 or 4 of those free throws, like we said, it changes the game, and it puts a little bit of pressure back on BYU, and now you see how they're going to react to that pressure. But we weren't able to put that pressure on them because we weren't able to capitalize on those free throws.
And the other 7 games went fine. So, again, in those 2 games have really been the problem. I looked at the box score. This is the 4th ever game Utah State has played the New Orleans Privateers in the Spectrum tonight. It's on the Mountain West Network at 7 o'clock online if you're not going to the game. The last time we played, Jalen, you were a part of the team that beat New Orleans in the Spectrum by 10 points. You remember that game?
Yeah, I do. And it was cool because that was the first time I had played or heard really a lot or seen a lot of footage or anything on New Orleans. So that was a fun game for me too. I always liked playing those teams down there from the South, just knowing that my dad was from down there. Like when we went to Mississippi State and we played at Mississippi State at home, I always liked playing those teams like that. Just because of what I've heard from my dad and the stories and everything like that. So I remember that Spectrum was good. I ended up having a good game and stuff like that. We got a win. So it was a lot of fun.
You had 18 points, 5 assists. I pointed that out to you. Kobe McEwen had 19. We'll see him on Wednesday night for Weber State, who incidentally beat a team called Maine Fort Kent 82-36 to get back to their winning ways today. But Shane Rector, Norby Janisic, and Alexis Dargenton started the game. Sam Merrill came off the bench in that game and had 9. Quinn Taylor's helping the Aggies coach this year, came off the bench with 5. Julian Perry had 2. And maybe remember Barnaba, the big guy inside, he scored 2 points in the game. So they were the Aggies who played against this New Orleans team. And Jalen's dad, Jimmy, played one of the other 2 games against them. Again, that was down there that was an NCAA team in 1975. The Aggies beat them 96-90 down in New Orleans. The only game the Privateers have ever won. They came back the next year and won in Logan, 79-75. So their team looks like you got to handle their guard, who's a graduate. And it sounds like this Derek Hilaire, St. Hilaire, can really shoot the basketball and score for them.
Yeah, and he is a good scorer. He's averaging 20 a game. They've played 9 games, so that means he's a good scorer. They've played 9 games. You're averaging 20. It's like Bean. We played that many games. He's averaging 22 and all those boards. So that's going to be a fun matchup to see. Not saying they're going to guard each other, but I think that's going to be a guy that we're going to have to put one of our better defenders on, and because he's going to be able to light it up. And like I said, a lot of ways that people can shoot and score now. It's free throw line, 3-pointers. So we probably got to keep him off the free throw line. Got to make him have to earn his shots. If he hits 3s, they got to be contested and tough. And we just got to do a job on him because basketball is crazy. One guy like that can change the whole game and can bring his whole team some confidence, especially if we don't get rid of them in the first half and they hang around. They start to build that confidence thinking they can play with us. So that's going to be a big key. That's actually, I didn't have that as a key tonight, but I think that is going to be another key, is to obviously keep that guy in check and not let him get going.
He had 7 straight 20-point games and 11 double-figure games in a row until they last played against Louisiana and they got beat. Their leading scorer last year was Troy Green, who is a senior guard. He is averaging about 13 a game. They have added, though, 6 or 7 transfers. They added size. There's Robbie Robinson, who played at Nevada against us. He didn't play the last couple of games, and I heard through the grapevine they only may bring 7 or 8 players here. They've got their women's team right now that is in a COVID protocol, so I don't know if something's going on with them going into the game tonight, but I kind of see this in a similar type way to the UT Arlington game. Do you see it kind of that way too?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like we said, we know that they're going to be athletic. They're going to get after it defensively. And like I said, I think we're going to be a better team. This should be a game that we win. But like we said, you got a guy that can score 20 a game. If you let him go out there and he scores 25, 26, the other guy pitches in 13, 15, you got a game on your hands. You're going to have guys thinking that they can play with you and that they can potentially beat you. So we're going to have to do a job on the defensive end, and we're going to have to do a job on those 2 guys that can light it up.
And again, they are a little bit of a different style to have to handle because when you played them, they only shot 12 3-pointers, I think, in that entire game, made 2. They don't shoot many 3-pointers compared to a lot of teams. That was kind of like Carroll College when they came in here. So, Jalen, your keys to the game tonight brought to you by LSS Insurance. If you ever need help with Medicare, they have easy-to-understand videos, testimonials, instructions at their website, but they want to talk to you personally. About 3 months out, when you're going towards your Medicare 65th year, get with them at 752-9493 LSS Insurance. So what do you see tonight?
Yeah, first key, we got to win the rebounds. The last 2 games, we don't get out-rebounded often, but the last 2 games we got out-rebounded and we lost. So I think that's the biggest key. I always bring that key around a lot, but rebounding is important, so I think that's going to be a thing. We need some more help for Bean. We got to get more guys getting in there, getting rebounds. So I think that's the biggest key. Number 2, we're going to have to play at our pace. A little bit of that BYU game, St. Mary's game, we kind of were playing at those 2 teams' pace and weren't doing what we wanted to do. We got to make New Orleans play at the pace and play the game how we want them to play, and we got to control all of that defensively, offensively. So I think that's important. And number 3, we were on our bench, hey, we need some more production from our bench. But now Ashworth, Barstow, some guys like that, they've been stepping up. And now I'm kind of looking at it like, hey, we need a little bit more production from our starters. Idle Rock, Jones, Miller. I think this is a game right here where they're going to have to get back into the swing of things. I think we need a little bit more production from those guys. And this can be a game at home where they can get back after. I like the way Ashworth's been doing his thing, and Barstow and Dorius and those guys that we were kind of on at the beginning of the season. Like, we're not getting any bench production, but now we need a little bit more production from our starters again. if we can put those two together with the starters and bench production, I think that's when we're going to be just a hard team to beat. So I think if we do those three things, we have the best chance of winning.
I like your keys to the game tonight, Jalen. I thought that those are some really good things that I was thinking about as well. So thanks a lot for joining with us. You have the rest of a good evening. We'll talk to you on Wednesday night when we're down at Weber State for that game against the Wildcats and Kobe McEwen, your old teammate, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, Jalen Moore joining with us on our game day. Coming up, we got Matt Henry, who's a Virginia guy, and we've got the two North Carolina guys in Coach Nate Dixon and our head coach, Ryan Odom. But the other guy is from Ohio, who has joined in with the Aggie coaching staff.
The interest and the excitement for Utah State basketball is palpable. It is very apparent. Hit you right in the face. Hit us right in the face when we walked up the airplane.
That's Bryce Crawford. You'll hear more about his life story as well coming up. Plus, of course, the Aggies need to turn around a 2-game losing streak.
And all of our goals are still out there. It's not like we're dead in the water. We got to make sure that we take care of business, at home in this next game. That's got to be our clear focus.
And Cache Valley Ear, Nose, and Throat, the Allergy Clinic, Hearing Aid Center, Aesthetics, all bringing you game day tonight on KVNU, accepting patients in North Logan and Providence. You can go to Cache Valley ENT for more details. They take most insurance, including Select Med accepted. And this is game day. Again, the Aggies tonight at 7, a little after 7 on the Mountain West Network for the game. If you're not going to the Spectrum tonight, there are tickets available. And this is game day on KVNU.
This is Teresa with ChemDry of Northern Utah. Daryl and I would like to thank Cache Valley for continuing to let ChemDry take care of your carpet cleaning needs for the past 43 years. Also for awarding us Best of Northern Utah, Best of Cache Valley, and Reader's Choice. We wish you and yours the happiest and safest holiday season.
ChemDry of Northern Utah. ChemDry of Northern Utah. 435-752-6100.
West Point Dairy Products at Hiram is hiring. West Point Dairy Products has been manufacturing high-quality butter for over 25 years in Cache Valley. They're currently expanding and want you on their growing team. West Point Dairy Products offers competitive wages for entry-level positions starting at $18 per hour, full benefit packages, double time on Sundays, a $2,000 sign-on bonus, and tremendous opportunities for growth. For immediate consideration, call Express Employment Professionals at 435-213-9595.
This is James Stevens with White Pine Funeral Services. We often hear people say, I wish I could use White Pine, but I've already paid for arrangements elsewhere. Know that if you've already pre-planned with a different funeral home, you can still call White Pine. If you are being told you'll lose up to 25% of your money, White Pine will provide a discount equal to any fee for switching. If you have any questions, please stop by for a visit or give us a call. We would love to meet you and explain in more detail.
White Pine Funeral Services. Here when you need us most.
Advanced Heating and AC, the gold medal winner in the Best of Northern Utah, is teaming up with Carrier Heating and Cooling. Carrier provides you with the best furnace units available. And now is the best time to buy a new unit before the weather turns Cache Valley cold. Financing options are available. Turn to the experts at Advanced Heating and AC and Carrier. Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning at 752-7272. Stop by at their showroom west of DI. Online, advancedheating-ac.com.
It's KVNU Game Day with more analysis and more previews of today's game with Al Lewis.
So I actually had a lacerated kidney, but that was more what kept me out, and the broken wrist. So fatigue-wise, I'm definitely feeling it. But as the game went on, I kind of got my wind back and fought through it.
That's when I asked Sean Bairstow the other night after the game how he feels now physically, and we found out if this lacerated kidney went along with the broken wrist that slowed him up to get back. But, boy, he has been a big factor since he has come back and was big the other night with 11. So that kind of gets us into our talk, and we were talking about that because, again, going down the stretch in the BYU basketball game, again, Bairstow was in there with some of the starters.
The lineup that we finished with the other day clearly was the lineup that was playing the best, on that particular day, and sometimes you have to feel it, and Sean was out there with Steven and Rylan, obviously being in Brandon down the stretch, and they got us back in the game and gave us a shot.
So that brings us to our S.E. Needham Jewelers starting lineup, the state's oldest jewelry store. Beautiful diamond engagement ring sets for Christmas. That is the ultimate gift, and of course a lot of you are thinking about that, but all kinds of great gifts in their gift section too. at S.E. Needham Jewelers downtown in Logan, closing usually at 7 o'clock in the evenings. So we got Brandon Horvath in our S.E. Needham Jewelers starting lineup, the senior from West River, Maryland. The only guy who basically cannot return next year. I think he's done with his eligibility this year no matter what. R.J. Idlerock, the junior out of London, England, a transfer from UMBC. Rylan Jones from the University of Utah really has 3 years to play here in Logan. We'll hear more from Rylan, incidentally, before Weber State on our game day on Wednesday night. Brock Miller, the senior from Sandy, Utah. Again, averaging 9, but the last couple of games hasn't really had as much. And then Justin Bean getting so much done. What is he? Number 5 in the nation in scoring right now is where Bean is. And he is he's number 2 in double-doubles. He's number 5 in scoring, number 3 in rebounds, number 9 in shooting, and number 17 in minutes played in the country. And the senior from Moore, Oklahoma, is part of our S.E. Needham Jewelers starting lineup tonight. As we promised, we're going to hear from Bryce Crawford, the Utah State assistant basketball coach, and one of Ryan Odom's assistants. So we'll do that in the next segment of Game Day here on KVNU. Game Day also brought to you in part by Cache Valley Bank. They have branches Smithfield, North Logan, in front of the mall, downtown Logan, Hiram, and now added Preston to go along with other places around the state. Cache Valley Bank, again, still small enough and local enough to make decisions made locally for you. They bring you Game Day tonight here on KVNU.
What are you doing for your home medical supply needs? Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical. We sell the highest quality products in the industry, and your shopping experience with us will be unmatched. Get out and enjoy freedom with one of our many different power chairs. We'll make sure you have the best experience possible and that you can bring wellness home.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Steven, stop dragging your feet. Don't you give me that look. You've had a bad attitude all day. Now, look, I know you'd rather be with your friends right now, but this has to be done, and either you start cooperating or I'm going to start taking things away from you. And I think you know what that means, don't you, Steven?
Yes, honey, I do.
All right.
Okay.
Watch it.
Bigger isn't always better. At Castalite, you'll choose from a huge selection of pavers and receive help from experts. You'll see just how easy it is to do it yourself. For brick, block, rock, paver, and tile, go where the pros go. Online at Castalite.com.
Cache Valley Bank's newest branch is now open in Preston. I'm Lance Zollinger, and I'm excited to announce Cache Valley Bank is now open inside Stokes Marketplace. If you're an existing customer, you'll love the convenience. If you're not a customer, we'd love to have you open a new account with us, or even talk with us about a loan for your farm or business. Cache Valley Bank, a community bank where decisions are still made locally, now open in Preston. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
This is Dave Simmons for Les Olson Company. Every great team knows that you have to train to stay on top of your game. Even top players continue to practice the fundamentals. That's why Les Olson Company offers free IT security awareness training so your business can stop threats before they become a problem. Learn what to do in case of a suspected phishing attack. Don't take risks. Take action with the Les Olson Security Suite. Get your free network assessment at lesolson.com.
KVNU Game Day as the Aggies play New Orleans, the Privateers. Incidentally, earlier today, UNLV with a 95-78 win over Hartford, so they go to 6-5. And San Jose State beat Pacific. That's a good win, 78-66. The Spartans under Tim Miles are now at 5-4. And we mentioned the Colorado State win over Creighton was huge today. Over Mississippi State was big today, 66-63, Colorado State 10-0. So they're 10-0. Wyoming is playing Utah Valley tonight at home. That should be a good one over in Laramie. Starts at 8 o'clock. Wyoming is 8-1 after their loss to Arizona this week. And you got Irvine and Fresno State just getting started here in a few minutes. Irvine's having a good year. Fresno, of course, having a really good year at 7-2. The Aggies at 6-3, San Diego State's at 6-3, New Mexico 6-4, Boise 6-4, UNLV now 6-5, Nevada's 4-4. They missed 3 straight games with COVID problems. They're hoping to play tomorrow, I think it is, in their game. And then now San Jose at 5-4. The conference at 81 wins, 32 losses. That's 72% winning percentage. On this bench for Ryan Odom, we've already heard from Nate Dixon, who has been with him 7 years. Matt Henry coached again at UCMB the last 3 years, UMBC, before he came here with him. Kelsey Naki is the Director of Operations. Noah Ralby's down there on the bench. Billy Bales is down there on the bench. Bales is the Player Development Director. Basketball Analytics is Ralby. And then Keenan Palmore is on the bench. He played for the coach at Lenore Rhine. He's a graduate manager to help with Quinn Taylor down there on the bench for Utah State. But we introduce you tonight to Bryce Crawford, who, again, has quite a story. What's your first impressions, or how have you felt about how things have gone at Utah State?
Oh, it's been really good. Everyone's welcomed us very well. The interest and the excitement for Utah State basketball is palpable. It is very apparent. Hit you right in the face. Hit us right in the face when we walked up the airplane. And so that has been very enjoyable, and it's something that, like, it's not just fun for me. It's for my family. You know, just being a part of that, being part of something so big and a community that really cares. It's been really cool, really enjoyable. So I look forward to more of it, especially as the year goes on.
Of course, the UMBC move-in also included a couple of players. How do you feel the blend of everybody has come together so far on the team?
Really well. I think that the guys that that were already here, that we inherited, are just so mature, and they operate in love with one another. And I think because of that, bringing new guys in, it wouldn't have mattered where they came from, right? And that they want them to be a part of what this thing is. Now, with that being said, right, like, I think that the guys that came from UMBC, those guys have done a pretty good job of acclimating to the culture, right, and like diving into what has already been established here, right? Like what Utah State basketball is going to be influenced by Ryan Odom, but also Utah State has established something that's really special itself, right? That goes back decades, right? That you can't help but just to fall in line with, and if you don't, you're going to have a hard time. And I think the guys that have been here will let you know about it. Now, we pride ourselves, and we want to make sure that everybody that we add into our program is a high character guys that follow the standards and the values that we hold as a staff. So I would expect them to do a good job in terms of kind of getting tied in. But like I said, I think it's a really big credit to the guys that were here before.
We talked to Nate Dixon earlier, and his connection to Coach Odom kind of started a little bit at Charlotte. It sounds like yours kind of did as well with Coach Odom at Charlotte.
Yeah, that's right. So I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, went to Ohio State as an undergrad. One of the assistant coaches there got the head job at UNC Charlotte. And so after I graduated from Ohio State, I was a grad assistant when I was there. And then so Coach Odom I was an assistant coach there. So I was 2 years with him there, and then went away for a couple years at University of Texas, and then been with him since Lenore Rhine. So 7 years in a row, 9 overall.
What is the best thing about Coach Odom?
There's two things that I always say. One is that he sees the best in everybody. And I think there's nothing to do with him as a coach, and all to do with him as a man. I think that, like, he wants us to grow and get better, and he encourages that. But I think, like, he can weed out and, like, look beyond some of those things, not get stuck in some of those, like, little flaw things. He doesn't hold grudges. He's not gonna embarrass you. That in itself is like an empowering thing. And I think the second thing is that he's comfortable in his own skin, and because of that, he can take responsibility for things when they don't go well. He's able to let other people's light shine and use their gifts. Like you can imagine, right? If you ever had a bad boss, right, who was really worried about, like, what they look like and how they're perceived, oftentimes that gets projected on you as someone that work, as an employee. It's like, oh man, like, and you feel all this pressure, and that does not exist. It does not exist, and it makes the work environment really well. I think it's actually really good for the players. It inevitably boosts confidence and empowerment, and it's really awesome.
That's really neat. Has he changed a lot as a coach in the years you've coached with him?
Oh yeah, I think it's like he's a lot. I think
is that the evolution of where college basketball is, or something more that he's just learned more and more?
I think it's a lot about him having, like, to come to grips with some different things, and he's like, I want to get better at X, Y, and Z, and he's done it. Like, defensively, we every year we've gotten better defensively. Like let me back up. In February and March, I think we generally are much better than we are in November. Now that might seem silly, but not everybody's like that. And I think that we're also usually improving in February and March still, which most people don't do. I would say. I think it's why we've always had success over the season and late. But again, with that being said, he's also grown a lot in terms of like what he wants, more defined in some of the things that he believes in and what he likes to do. Defensively, early on, we were just okay. You know, at Lenore Ryan and early at UMBC, we scored a lot of points. And then as we've gotten, as the years go on, he's gotten much more balanced, and we've kind of streamlined some of the like defensive kind of ideas, which I think have been really good, and he teaches it really well. And like we have a plan. We go into every game. We think we actually have a plan. Sometimes it'll work better than others, but we have a plan. And then I think offensively, right, like that's what he generally like leans towards, and has made different adjustments there in terms of like we have like kind of like an overall thing in terms of like creating an advantage and playing like driving kick and inside out as a team and like being extremely unselfish. I have to say that part because he would be mad at me if I didn't talk about that. I think that's
this team's really good at it.
Really unselfish, right? And I think that part of his personality, I think, translates into how that we play that way. But we have to. Those are things that are. How we do that has looked different over the years, which is really cool, and based upon like the skills and the abilities of the guys we have.
Next time we talk to Bryce Crawford before game day, we'll find out more about his personal life and about his family, young kids who are really excited about being here, and you'll love that part of it as we continue. We'll get our coaches segment coming up next. The Aggies and the New Orleans Privateers tonight. They're 3-6 on the year. In fact, up until now, their best win is probably against VMI, 79-71. They lost to Ole Miss by 21. They lost to Northwestern by 16. They lost to Rice by 7, Texas A&M by 20, and Louisiana by 13. The interview with Bryce Crawford brought to you in part by Castelite, the experts that reduce DIY stress. For all of your needs as far as tile and things to do in the home and things with brick and block, they've got it for you. It's Castelite.com. And this is Game Day on KVNU.
It's back. Jarek's Fine Jewelry in Logan is having our annual Pick a Pearl event. If you've attended this in the past, you know how much fun we have. And if you haven't come before, you don't want to miss this exciting event. For only $10, pick your oyster, open it that day, or save it for that stocking stuffer surprise. Mark your calendar, Friday and Saturday, December 10th and 11th. Pick a pearl at Jarek's Fine Jewelry, 930 North Main. Just look for the bright green cars.
Jarek's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
We're talking with Jay from Daryl's Appliance. Jay, when did Daryl's open?
1970. That's over 50 years of experience serving local people.
Can you compete with the box stores?
Absolutely. Our electronic price tags are automatically updated throughout the day, which ensure our prices are the lowest available. Also, we have something they don't: scratch and dent appliances.
Why else should we buy from Daryl's?
Service comes first here. We have our service department that backs your appliance purchase.
Daryl's Appliance, a one-stop appliance shop. Daryl's, West on Airport Road, open till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 5 on Saturdays.
Don't wait. Plan your New Year's Eve celebration now. There's no better way to get the night rolling than at the Riverwoods Conference Center's wonderful buffet catered by Elements Restaurant. The night kicks off at 5 p.m. for you early birds. Reservations are being accepted from 5 until 9 p.m. for those that plan to keep the night rocking with appetizers, salads, slow-roasted prime rib, seafood, shrimp cocktail, and decadent dessert, sure to crave any sweet tooth. Start your New Year's off in style with family and friends at the Riverwoods Conference Center. Call ahead for reservations 750-5151. That's 750-5151.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Open enrollment for individual health insurance is November 1st through January 15th. Coverage through the marketplace is still available with more tax credits, making it even more affordable. We'll help you navigate the marketplace, understand your plan options, and complete enrollment and save big. Trying it on your own can be frustrating. Let us help. Call 752-9493. There's no cost to work with us. Having a local agent makes all the difference. Call 752-9493.
KVNU Game Day returns.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. We just needed to keep it going. At some point, we got 8 stops in a row. and didn't score on any of those offensive possessions on the way back. So
that was Sean Bairstow talking about the Aggies taking it back from 20-7 the other night against BYU, but again, they end up losing by 12. BYU again lost to Creighton today. Utah beat Manhattan 96-62. Marco Anthony had 8, Raleigh Wooster had 4, and Jackson Brenchley had 5 in that game, incidentally, for Utah. And Fresno State 51-48 over Irvine with about 3 minutes to go. That's a real battle between two teams. This New Orleans team, as we said, came in. Mark Slessinger is in his, I think, 11th year as coach. He took him to the NCAA tournament, first-round game in 2017. He's a Bloomington, Indiana native. And he has this Derek St. Hilaire, who was the number 13 scorer in the college basketball in November. He has, again, slowed down a little bit lately, but again, this guy is still quite a player. And when you talk about personnel, as we get into our coaches segment with Coach Ryan Odom tonight, that's who's at the top.
Transfers, some additions to their team, to their roster, obviously led by St. Hilaire, who's been there a couple of years now, and averaging 20 a game, dynamic guard, really tough guy to stop, very good in transition, good in the half court as well, getting to the basket. Even though they don't shoot a ton of threes as a team, he can make them. He knocks them in, and he's shooting it 15 times a game, not threes, but he's getting about 15 shots a game. So we're going to have to pay close attention to him.
He is one of the leaders in the country in shooting shots, 27 in one game this year. That is the 4th most a player's had in one game this year. So St. Hilaire will shoot most of their shots, and he averages 20 coming into the game tonight. Troy Green averages 12.3, their other guard. He kind of likes their other guard. Sankey can play quite a bit and score about 6, pretty good pass guy. But they've added some size. The transfers he mentioned are Sankey, 5'9", a Valpo transfer. Simeon Kirkland is a 6'10" guy from UAB. Tyson Jackson, 6'9", from Middle Tennessee. They had 34 combined in the last game. Then Robbie Robinson from Nevada. He didn't score against the Aggies, playing 4 and 11 minutes for him last year. And Deshaun Allen Ikens is a 6'6" player out of North Dakota who's playing quite a bit for them. But again, they do have a little bit of a different style, again, when only St. Hilaire's the guy shooting a lot of threes.
And their focus, honestly, is they're a little bit of a throwback team again. They play with 2 big guys on the blocks, and they run high-low actions, and so we're going to have to be really good defensively in and around the basket. They're one of the top teams in the country in scoring twos and the percentage of their shots that are twos. And so while they're not focused on the 3, they are trying to get it inside of your defense. So we're going to have to be really tough in and around the basket and limit the amount of touches that they get in there.
And then, Coach Odom, what about your offense against their defense? What challenge will that be tonight?
And then offensively, against their defense, they're a very aggressive defensive team, limiting our turnovers, getting inside their defense, all right, playing under control, meeting passes. All of those things are going to be extremely important to make sure we take care of the ball.
And take care of the home court, just 2-2 up until now, 6-3 overall. Aggies are shooting 48% on the year. Do you know that's the best they've done in 12 years? If that hangs together, that happens. Of course, they shot it well against BYU, just not well enough to win the game with the stops. Going into this game now, Justin Bean is number 35 in scoring. He passed Vince Washington last game. His first bucket tonight will get to Desmond Penninger. He'll pass him and go to number 34. He needs 16 points to beat Gary Wilkinson into the number 33 spot. He's 31 points away from Nate Williams at number 32. On the rebound side, the guy who recruited him to Utah State, Spencer Nelson, he gets 4 tonight. He passes Spencer and becomes the 8th leading rebounder in Aggie history. Rylan Jones, incidentally, 26th in the nation in assists. The Aggies are number 5 as an assist team, but the last 2 games, they've only averaged about 14. They've been 19 on the year. This New Orleans team showed a navy blue color uniform the other day. They haven't done that ever. They've always been royal blue, white, and silver, so maybe something's changed there. And like we said, through the grapevine, we heard that they might only have 7 or 8 players on the court tonight for their game in the Spectrum. Their home court is the Lakefront Arena, which has been there for a long time in New Orleans. That's where Pete Maravich, I think, played for the New Orleans Jazz there. Their home court they're playing on now, though, their court got damaged during Hurricane Ida, so actually they picked it up from the Superdome that they're playing with on their home floor. They have, again, been a team that hasn't won on the road yet this year. They are 0-4 on the road as they come in here to the Aggies. They also have a game with Ohio State, who did beat Wisconsin today in college basketball coming up. The Aggies are a 20-point favorite for tonight. And again, like we mentioned at the top, this is the first December where the Aggies have had back-to-back losses since the 2014-15 season, so 7 years ago. So Utah State wants to turn things around tonight and be able to beat this New Orleans team, get back the winning ways. Weber State on Wednesday, Iowa on Saturday night. Unfortunately, with a bowl game next week, that's going to overshadow that basketball game on the Saturday night before Christmas. So we're here post-game. John Russell he goes up to the Spectrum, then gets down here right before we get started for our post-game. So he'll tell us about the atmosphere of the game from up there. We want you to tell us what you saw or heard or thought or questions you have. Again, I know people are wondering why Z Hamoda didn't play more against BYU. Coach said it's just because of the spot where Sean Bairstow is starting to play more, but he still thinks Z is a big part of this basketball team as well. So that was one question I know a lot of people had the other night. Skyview beat West Jordan today in high school basketball, 66-63. We mentioned BYU lost, Utah won, Weber State won. So the Wildcats 9-1 when we play them on Wednesday this next week. But it's 3-6 New Orleans and 6-3 Utah State. Aggies are a 20-point favorite. So let's win the game tonight and then take care of things next week. And then we got one more before Christmas as Portland State comes in to the Spectrum. So thanks to Jalen Moore. Thanks to the sponsors. We appreciate you joining with us. We always get the rundown before every game here. Then we're here immediately after the game to take your texts, your calls, and we'll get the player and a coach in, we hope, from up in the Spectrum as well with Jake Ellis with the help. That's it for game day. Pregame. Al Lewis on KVNU back immediately after the game is over.
News and talk around the clock.
I listen to you all the time.
News Talk KVNU Logan, 610 AM at 102.1 FM.